When thinking about the next Kaizer Chiefs coach, you have to consider a few factors. Number one, can Kaizer Chiefs afford him, which is the most important thing to them? Number two, can they control him? I mean, is he not going to get out of hand and say things that they would not want him to say? Number three, is he of good character? When I talk about good character, can he control the dressing room? Because it's clear that there is also some problems that are there. And you also ask yourself, has he won something wherever he's coming from? And number five is, can he improve players? And when I look at all this criteria that I just gave you, there is one coach who comes to mind. And that coach is Sid Ramovich. And we're going to talk about why it could be the next Kaizer Chiefs coach, why it could make sense, and maybe why it might also not make sense, and what Bernard Parker thinks of him coming to Kaizer Chiefs. Hello and welcome to Khosi Nation Fan TV. I am Pelo, I am your host, and this is where fans meet and talk about Kaizer Chiefs. Khosi Football Club. So let's talk about the first important thing. Can Kaizer Chiefs afford Sid Ramovich, who's currently coaching TS Galaxy? I had an opportunity to talk to him when we were coming back from Bombay, and I said, hey, you should come to Chiefs and coach us. He was like, yeah, I must also bring these guys. He was pointing at his technical team. And I thought to myself, you know what? Right now, Kaizer Chiefs, this was after Unsegi was appointed. I was looking at this and thinking, oh my days, Zwan is actually running out of contract end of the season. And then you have Muzi running out of contract. We have Unsegi who's gone. Shepard is entering the same situation. In fact, it's one more year remaining in their contract. So it's basically easier for Kaizer Chiefs to now bring in a completely or almost completely new technical team because they can now let go of the people that they currently have. So when it comes to can Kaizer Chiefs afford to Sid Ramovich, they definitely can afford him because I mean, he's not achieved the status level of Abo Pitso, who's going to come with the team and say, hey, we've been to Saudi. Hey, we've been to Qatar. Hey, we went to Saudi again. So we are very expensive. And no, this is not me saying Pitso is too expensive for Chiefs. They're not going to afford him. I think they can afford him. Do they want to pay that money, though? That's the question, because they've let him go 3 times. So to me, that says these guys have had an opportunity and they have a good relationship with Pitso, yet in all those 3 times they decided against signing him. So to me, it does seem like there are factors that might affect Pitso coming to Kaizer Chiefs, which is actually related to factor number 2, which is, can they control him? We know that Pitso Msimane is well spoken, but you look at Sid Ramovich as well. He is also very, what's the word? Outspoken. That's what I'm trying to say. Outspoken. He likes to say what he thinks and he just goes out and he says it out there. And Velu Pitso is here and he can say that. But Ramovich, as much as he's a good coach, but he's not here with Pitso, he's probably right here with Pitso. So in that sense, you even see with the problems that TS Galaxy had last season, as a coach who comes out and says what he wants to say, he's actually not said anything, or he didn't say anything about Galaxy at the time when they were not paying the players' wages. So he kept quiet. So in a way, you can see that he's one of those coaches who can keep quiet even though the situation is not like that great, right, in the dressing room, or not necessarily in the dressing room, but between him, the players, and the club. Because we do know that he likes his players very much. We're going to talk about that later on in the video. But at the same time, he also knows that he respects his job. I mean, everyone does that. But at times, you see coaches like Abo Calvin Hunt coming out saying, we're trying to grow, but then again, players are being sold to Sundowns. He's coming out and talking against management, yeah, okay. And Kaizer Chiefs does not necessarily like that. But Ramovich, in everything that he has done so far, he tends to protect the management in a way. Which brings us to point number 3, which is, does he have the right personality to control the dressing room? And that is absolutely yes. And I will read something that Bernard Parker said about him. He says that he believes in hard work, referring to Sid Ramovich. He believes in hard work. He believes in war, that every time you get into the field of play, it's war. At Chiefs, the mental part is a big factor. At the club, not the quality. not anything else. And the coach Sid is a big fan of mentality. And what keeps us going at TS Galaxy is that we've got a strong mindset. I believe if Sid can get the nod at Kaizer Chiefs, definitely good things will come out of them. After what we saw Chiefs doing against Milford, they're just, and the coach is just pointing pathetically. But you look at Sid Ramovic, it doesn't matter whether he plays against the Sundowns. In fact, right now, there is a big beef going on between him and Rulani Mkwena about what Rulani said when they broke Parker's leg and when Sundowns got eliminated. Urulani came out and said my players were not available, and then Uramovic was like, if this man has to complain about his players not being available, yet he has a squad that cost like Aboma 500 million, and yet he's still complaining, that's disrespectful to ETS Galaxy. And he continued to defend his players, and he says, if you can't coach a squad that is over 200 million, 500 million, however much they cost, then that means there must be problems with your coaching. So this is a man who clearly believes Uguti, his team is good enough and he can make his team good enough, and anyone who disrespects his team is going to get it from him. He has a strong personality. He's not going to take nonsense, not from a coach who's coaching Sundowns, because Rulani went as far as to say, according to Sid, because Rulani revealed that he did call Sid, and Sid says that one of the things that Rulani said was, who the F are you to come to my country and talk to me like that? Do you know who my parents are? And then the coach said, I don't care who your parents are. And he says, Rulani dropped the phone. So to think about all of these things and the fact that this man did not even apologize, instead he doesn't care even if this thing escalates or not, it shows Uguti mentality is, I will not get bullied by anyone, let alone get bullied by a team that plays in the second division and say, oh, maybe they might surprise us. He's not going to come out and be playing Abokunik. He's not going to come out and play Abokunika and be afraid of anyone, because he just thinks that his team is the best and is going to perform and give his all. And he pushes that mindset to his players. You look at Abu Kevin Johnson on the other hand, players just benzum sangano. Someone told me, Uguti, a close source of sorts, told me about how at TS Galaxy some players were made to pay fines because they did not bring the right footwear into a game, and then they had to pay money because the coach is that strict, because the coach doesn't play around. This thing of players gaining weight, this thing of players drinking and coming to camp, that's not going to happen under a coach who has a strong personality. However, there is just a bit of a problem with Sid Ramovic. You look at his track record, and so far he hasn't won anything. By the way, I just had to say this factor that I forgot to mention earlier. I will say it later on in the video. Sid Ramovic has not won a cup, but I will say to you, he's the same man who took TS Galaxy to the finals of the Carling Knockout Cup, and actually lost that cup. But what ended up happening is that, look at the team that he built, look at the players that he didn't have at the time, yet he still managed to get that far in the competition. And we're talking about a team here that was in a situation whereby they lost some of their good players, which is linked to the next point that I'm going to talk about, and yet he still got the team that far. Imagine what he could do with the quality that is there at Kaizer Chiefs. I'm just saying that. But I understand if someone says, Mpelo, you are being a hypocrite right now because you said if someone comes to Chiefs, they should have won something, which I understand. But there is also something else that we need to realize about Ramovic. One, Chiefs also likes coaches who are very qualified, right? So he has a UEFA Pro license. You don't just get those out of thin air. You have to work. You have to do some things. You have to have understanding of football. And that man understands football. And his understanding of football is the reason why he lost to Kevin Msimang. But you don't see TS Galaxy struggling just because they lost to Kevin Msimang, do you? No, you don't. They lost one of their best players in Aupas. He replaced him with Umbunjana. And Umbunjana has been playing well for TS Galaxy to a point that he got a call-up from Bafana Bafana. On top of that though, even Umbunjana has been getting benched in some of the games because now he's found someone else who can play that position. So this is a man who can clearly solve the other problem that we have at Kaizer Chiefs, which is players are not improving in our team. We are saying, oh, we lost so and so 20 years ago, but what about the players that we have? What about the quality that Kaizer Chiefs has? And this guy, you look at him, you look at the players that he has developed, and then you can see that, he can actually make players better. And seeing that Chiefs already produces enough good quality players, how much better will they be under a coach who actually understands what he's doing? Do you think Khosi will be a good coach for Kaizer Chiefs? Do let me know down in the comment section below. Why do you think he would be a good coach? Why do you think he wouldn't be a good coach? Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, remember, equals Alpelumoy.